Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, as I turn off my announcements because my wife is texting me. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
So, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really well.
I'm excited we get to hang out.
Yeah, here we are.
Beautiful day. It's
Great
a beautiful day.
Great, yeah.
Who sang that? Who was that? Was that you too?
Sure.
It's a beautiful day. Something like that.
Probably that was it.
Yeah, I don't know. They do the anthem rock thing. That's what they do. But if I want anthem rock, I go for Angels and Airwaves. Their first three albums, after that, they kind of went off the cliff. But I like the first
I felt like
Angels and Airwaves for anthem rock.
I felt like after the first one, they went off the cliff.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And then they jumped the shark.
No jumping the shark.
They jumped the shark.
No, and they didn't nuke the fridge either, which is another thing. Are you familiar with nuking the fridge?
Nope.
It's when Harrison Ford hid in the fridge for a nuclear explosion for the new Indiana Jones movie. It was so over the top. That was the new jumping the shark, was nuking the fridge. Education, son.
Yeah.
You've been educated.
I have been.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got going on for the rest of the day?
I've got family stuff, basically. Looking forward to it's. So right now we're in the midst of this whole, what do you call it? Pandemic. So we're not having worship services yet, though we are about to do that. So hopefully in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We're shooting for it. We're shooting for the 14th. But we got to be off site. You know, we're doing a bunch of stuff, working out a bunch of details. We're really excited about it. I don't know why I was talking about that, but I will tell you this. We're going to go home.
Because you can't help yourself.
Why?
That's just the way you are.
What, talk about stuff?
Yeah, like you got news and it's like,
I got ADD. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry that I got some kind of problem in my brain. I used to be on Ritalin for years, vitamin R, and I'm not on it anymore. Well, so my brain pops around all over the place.
Oh,
sorry.
Squirrel.
Where?
See?
I don't see a squirrel.
It's out there.
The point is, I got family stuff going on. We're going to hang out. We got the dog, we got the new puppy. They're starting to hang out more. It's a good time. Having a lot of fun.
Have you had Pastor Pat's puppies over?
No, they're two little puppies.
Yeah, to play.
You know what? They look a little militant. Let's say they look a little militant. I'm not really sure. When I look at Pastor Pat's puppies, they look a little militant.
Pastor Pat's puppies.
They look like the kind of dogs that the Third Reich would have. That's what they look like. That's all I'm saying. They look like that. They don't look like friendly dogs.
See, there's some jokes I'm not going to go down with you.
I'm not joking. I'm just saying they look a little intense, you know? You know, like they got like the white t-shirts with the shaved heads and they're dancing around to punk music. I don't know what's going on with those dogs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. You brought them up. I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, and
you asked for my input. And that's what you get.
Yeah, that is my fault. That is my fault.
This is what happens when we're just hanging out and we decide to record and we thought like, hey, let's record what we're thinking about at the moment. Because to be honest, all joking aside, like many of you, we can't stop thinking about the death of George Floyd and many other recent deaths and homicides, and the rioting that's taking place. We're recording this much earlier than we're actually releasing it. But this is on our heart. This is on not just on our minds. This is something that's burdening us. It's troubling us. And, you know, we have a lot of thoughts on all of this. If you don't know, George Floyd was African-American who on May 25th was killed by Derek Chauvin. He is a Minneapolis police officer. He's been charged with murder and manslaughter as far as I understand, as I've been kind of trying to follow this. And many of us have seen the video. Did you watch the video?
Yeah.
You watch the whole one?
No.
The 9-minute video?
No, I couldn't do it.
It will make you so angry because, you know, for almost 9 minutes, Officer Chauvin has his knee and his weight on Floyd's neck. And even after Floyd is completely unconscious, it continues for almost 3 minutes and he dies. And there are people all around. The officers, are 4 officers there. There's a little tiny guy, a little tiny cop there. And there's the cop there with his hands in his pockets with his Chauvin with his knee on Floyd's neck. And there are 2 other officers you can't see in the video because they're on the other side of the vehicle. There are bystanders who are videoing saying, stop it. He can't move. He can't breathe. He's handcuffed. He's subdued. What are you doing? A nurse walks up, not a nurse, but an EMT. She walks up. She works for the city. She's like, take his pulse, take his pulse. They're all yelling at this guy and they do nothing. It is calloused, wicked, cowardly, brutal, evil. that we all watched on video. And the officers were fired within 24 hours, which is good.
Yep.
And we're waiting to see what kind of prosecution is going to take place. I know that Chauvin has been arrested, so that is good news. But now there have been protests, which are entirely appropriate. And the protests are one thing, but now there is another thing. There is rioting and looting happening, not just in Minneapolis, but in other cities. And we wanted to talk about this because we're all talking about it. And while it's not explicitly a Baptist or an immediately apparently theological thing, it ultimately is, because it has to do with the Imago Dei, justice, love for neighbor, and all of that. So we thought we would talk through the situation, the event, and how we're thinking about it, how we're feeling about it. We'll talk about police and how we think about police, how we feel about cops, as well as how we feel about the violent protests, as they're being called, or the riots that are happening. So you saw some of the video. Now, I know you, Jimmy, and I know why you didn't watch the whole video, but why don't you explain for the listeners why you didn't watch the whole video?
You're going to make me...
No, I won't make a joke at all.
I don't do well with actual violence. I don't do well with actual suffering. If a child or a female is being abused of some kind, I turn off. I just can't. Yeah. I can't watch it. And it's not trauma from my past by any means or anything like that. It's just, I just can't handle it.
Yeah.
I break down.
Yeah.
And even that, like the injustice of watching a man die and suffocate, I just can't, I can't do it. Right. It's not, and I know for some people be like, well, that's, are you just kind of being numb or turning a blind eye to it? That's not it. It's just, I can't process it. Right. Like I can't process it through to the end in a constructive way.
Yeah, well, you know what happens.
Yeah.
You know the facts.
Yep.
But to observe it, to take it in, is too hard, because you are like a feeling person, right? And like you actually care. You actually like people. You love people. So like me, like I see this and I watch the whole thing and I get angrier and angrier. Yes,
I just start to cry.
Yeah, and it's so again, both of those are normal emotions, normal expressions, and anybody. I was listening to John Lovell talk about this. John Lovell is he was a special forces guy. Technically, what was he? Army Ranger, right? And I really like his videos. He does a lot with defensive shooting and all that stuff. He talked about this, and he said, when I saw this video, he's outraged, of course.
Yeah, of course.
He's very pro police. He's pro, military. But he said this was outrageous. And his co-host at the time asked, "What would you have done if you were there?" And he said, "I would be arrested or I'd be in jail, because as a defender, as a protector, I couldn't let that happen." Now, here's the truth. I don't know what I would do if I was there. I know I would want to tackle that cop, but I don't know that I would, if I'm honest.
And I keep like the part that keeps going through my head is there's 3 other people watching this, 3 other cops. Not one could think to themselves, lay off.
Let's just say this right now. This makes us want to curse.
Oh, I literally just about did.
Like we don't curse at people. It is such a visceral reaction, right?
Yeah.
We can't lay hands on anybody. It makes us want to curse. So I totally get you. How can none of the cops come up to the other guy and go, "All right, guy, ease
up.
Ease up.
You know what? Tag me in."
Yeah. Or, hey, you know what? They're rolling video. So maybe you take your knee off his neck because it looks bad. Maybe they do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I don't care at that point. Stop killing the guy.
Yeah, at least the guy's alive. Yeah.
And I've watched a number of videos, and I've listened to a number of police officers who have all said this is evil, wicked, brutal, embarrassing. It makes all the good cops look bad. So, and we'll talk about cops in a little bit. But as far as our take on the situation, from what we have seen, read, and understand, this was inappropriate conduct.
Yep.
It was unrighteous. It was wicked, sinful, evil.
And here's what I'm not. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, homeboy, the cop, killed a man who was not at that point creating any problems.
Yeah. What I am not willing to say now is, was the guy, like the cop, was it was it motivated? Like
Was he racist?
Was he racist?
Yeah.
I'm and a white supremacist, because there's been this meme going around. And I even showed it to Joe, and I'm like, Joe, there's no way, not a meme.
Make America white again? Or make whites great again?
Make whites great again.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
Okay, so here's the thing. Jimmy sent me a picture and he asked me, and he said, he didn't really ask me. He's like, this can't be real, right? And it's allegedly a picture of the officer wearing a red MAGA hat. But instead of saying make America great again, it says make whites great again. And I said, there's no way that's real.
And I found it on Ice Cube's Twitter. And I was like,
we're fans of Ice Cube. Ice Cube, don't hurt us. But it took how many seconds for me for us to look it up online and to show
it took you like 5 to 10 seconds tops.
It's not the officer wearing that hat.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Listen, I hate racism. I'm not suggesting that I don't struggle with prejudice of any kind. Of course I do.
Oh, I know. I know him. He does.
Stop it. But
well, don't say, of course I do.
You don't have to come and pile on. I'm being vulnerable. But racism bothers me. It's really hard. And so we're anti-racism. We want to call it out. If I see it, I will say something, right? I've said it in my family. I've addressed it at the cigar lounge. When I've heard stupid people saying stupid things, I will call them out. We don't know if this guy's racist or if he's just wicked or if he's just stupid. I don't know what's going on in his brain.
Yeah.
And so racism is a concern. It's legit, but since I can't get into, I don't know what's going on there. I'm really just more concerned with the fact that he appears to be killing, whether it's intentional murder or not, he appears to be killing somebody that he's supposed to be helping. Yes. Even if he is supposed to arrest him for passing a bad 20, for passing off counterfeit
for 20
counterfeit bill.
Counterfeit
he didn't run.
$20.
He's hanging out after he bought what he bought.
For a counterfeit $20, man.
Okay. And listen, I'm going to say something. This is going to get me in trouble, but I don't care. If you swing at a cop, I don't really care if they punch you and beat you up a bit. If they rough you up. I don't.
Give you a little rough. Yeah.
Hey, you swung at a cop. What are you going to do? Floyd didn't do any of that.
None of it.
And so we'll talk about police in a second. But let me just say, regardless of what Floyd is said to have done by these cops or not, I don't understand. And the cops that I have listened to and watched on YouTube and in other formats have all said, you never put your knee on a guy's neck. You don't do that. You might have to put your knee on their back for a period of time until you get them subdued. But once they're subdued and they're cuffed and everything, and if you have 4 cops there, you've got control of the situation. Don't be a coward. Don't be a baby. Don't be a bully. Handle the situation. And if somebody is saying, I can't breathe, it doesn't mean that they can breathe just because they're saying it. It means that it may mean that they're having trouble breathing. It may mean that the blood is being cut off to their heads in this case, maybe. There's a lot going on here. This is not just a bad thing. This is injustice. Mm-hmm. It is travesty. And this cop with his hands in his pockets, looking at everybody filming him like he doesn't have a care in the world, is heartbreaking and maddening. It drives us nuts.
Yeah.
So, listen, here's the truth. Let's talk about cops. Can we talk about cops?
Yeah.
All right. So my experience with the police.
Yes, yours is different than mine.
Really? Because you went to military school because you were such a delinquent.
No, I'm saying.
That's what happened. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. If I ask your dad, if I said, hey, Mr. Fowler, did Jimmy go to military school because he was jacked up and a delinquent? What would he say?
You don't that's bring my father into this.
I'm going to have Mr. Fowler on this podcast. He would be great on this podcast.
No, he would not.
He would be amazing on this podcast.
He would not.
Are you kidding me?
He'd be amazing. I would quit the podcast.
We would have to edit it, I'm sure.
I'd be out. I'm done.
So here's my interaction with the police. When I was, 12? I was pulled over by the cops.
Okay, 12, pulled over. Okay.
I was riding a motorcycle, and they pulled me over because I was 12. And I was like, what's the problem? And they're like, you're 12. They're like, you obviously shouldn't be riding around town, on a motorcycle. So I got in trouble. And then my friend and I, you could say we borrowed a car. And then
so for Steve McCoy, when you say borrow, what do you mean?
We took a car that didn't belong to us. And we drove it around multiple cities, and then we totaled it. But anyways.
You totaled it?
Well, I didn't total it. Chris totaled it.
Anyone named Chris. Was it spelled with a K?
No.
Oh, okay.
CH.
All right.
No. Chris with a K is a girl, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah, like most of the time.
Most of the time.
I think so. 'Cause it's
I
like
might
Jeff
have
or
an
Kristen.
uncle.
You do not.
I
have an
do.
You have an uncle?
Christopher with a K.
Was he always an uncle, or was he an aunt before that?
It's a bit hazy.
All right. So the point is that my experience with the police was largely negative throughout my life. But if I'm honest, it's because I did a lot of bad things. I did stupid things, maybe not bad, or probably bad, but I did a lot of stupid things that got me into trouble. So my experience with the police was negative because of my own actions. And I can tell you this.
It's the same for me.
Pretty much every weekend, the cops would pull me over and ask me to get out of the car and empty my pockets on the hood. This was in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, what's going on? So, but that was because I had a reputation at the time. So my experience with the police was negative, and I didn't like cops because cops were the bad guys, even though if I was honest, well, I was doing wrong things and I was getting held accountable. Now I have friends who are police officers, sheriff's deputies, and we have a member of our church who's a cop. Good, righteous, godly, good men doing the right things. I don't have a problem with cops. Obviously, I have a problem with unrighteous, wicked people who abuse their authority, whether that be a teacher, a pastor, or a cop. And these cops that I know would hate bad cops. In fact, one of our friends recently put on Twitter, he said, and he's a cop, he said, the only people who, what did he say? The only people who hate bad cops more than anyone else are good cops. Basically, good cops hate bad cops more than anybody else. That was his point.
Dexter.
Yeah, that's right. Gaspard.
Gaspard.
That's right. So, so let's just say this. I respect law enforcement, especially because at these days they never give me a ticket, even though I'm usually in violation.
See, and that's where our things change.
Well, how is it different? It's the same, right?
No, it's
you
not
drive
the
a
same.
car that's like what, 10 times more expensive than mine? I'm not good at math, but I think it may be. No, it's not 10 times. 5 times. 3 times. Oh, it's more than that. Okay, never mind. I won't talk about it. Your car is very nice.
Yeah.
You look like a gangbanger. That's probably what it is. I'd pull you over too.
You would? Yeah. My experience is different these days than Joey's.
Really?
Yeah.
Long hair, bearded, brown guy driving around.
White girl in the back.
White kids in the back. Like, what's going on? What's he doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I get pulled over.
You get pulled over. Do you get tickets though?
Most of the time.
Weird.
Yeah, isn't it?
You got pulled over once and you didn't get a ticket because I was driving.
Yes. Wait, no. Well, that's not me now.
Remember that time I actually drove around the cop because he was taking too slow, and I drove around him and broke the law, and then he pulled us over.
And you didn't have your seatbelt on?
I did have my and did he give us a ticket?
No.
No. And did you record the whole thing?
Yes. I was like, my gosh.
That's what you call. Well, I won't say what it's called.
What's it called?
I don't know. You might call it, I don't know, being lucky.
Lucky. The one time I didn't get a ticket recently, and it's like usually all right, I think they're foolish things, or they're things like, okay, the light was out.
On what? On what?
On like the car.
Not on this new car you got.
Not on this new car.
No.
But like the other one.
Okay.
Or like the turn signal or something like that. It's
You drove a hoopty like a year ago.
Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, yeah, I could get that fixed. I'm sorry, and get a ticket. But the one
You shouldn't get a ticket for that. They should be like, get it fixed and leave you alone.
Yeah. Right. I agree. I'm not going to fight you on that one, Joe.
Yeah, because they don't give you a ticket for that. What?
I would
don't get a ticket for that.
I do.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, the one time I didn't, and actually this one was, I didn't have my new sticker. Yeah.
I never put the sticker on.
But the guy didn't give me a ticket.
Yeah.
Because he kept me there for 30 minutes, and the kids were in the back screaming, and it was just me and the kids. And
were they afraid they were going to call
no,
ICE or
stop
something?
it.
Like, I don't know. I don't know
what's going on.
Okay.
But they're kids, and they're getting rambunctious, and they're going crazy. And thankfully the guy was like, all right, man, just go. Your kids are going crazy. I'm like, thank you. I got to get them home.
Good cop. Yeah.
Good cop. And that's fine. Like, I appreciate that, So now I want my kids in the car all the time. Maybe that's like a get out of ticket,
I saw a guy get on YouTube. He got pulled over, and when he gave the cop his license, on the back were taped pictures of his kids. For real.
That's pretty good. So, Joe, on Monday's episode, I talked about Hunter Bond.
Right.
And how
he had a baby.
And
he had a baby.
And he texted me and
had
not
an eggplant baby. Go ahead. Yeah. Because he had something. It was an
so
eggplant thing there.
I said, hey, congrats, bro. Blah, blah, blah. And Joey got all upset. You didn't text him.
That's right. Am I included in this?
No, you're not.
No, I'm still not.
And then he goes, well, I don't have his number, so read this to him and he'll feel better.
Okay.
Celebrity pastors don't usually give out their personal numbers. Only their pseudo-celebrity podcast wives can do that. Dang it. I should have read the thing first. I should have read it first.
Pseudo-celebrity podcast wife. That's you, bro.
Dude, all I saw was read this to him.
You burned yourself.
I did.
This is the best. You know, I said on Twitter recently, the only thing I enjoy more than being right is Jimmy being wrong. And this is it right here.
Anyways, so cops. Good cops out there.
There are a lot of good. Most cops are good cops, guys. Yeah. I mean, seriously, they're decent people. Most people are decent people. But the bad people, whether they're teachers, pastors, I have a whole YouTube thing on this, right? Like, can you trust a pastor? Well, I hope you can, but there are some you can't, and you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
And no, like some cops are bad and they need to be called out and held accountable, but most cops are good, man. And I'm not denying that there are racial problems and prejudices in America. Of course there are. There are real significant problems. But so now you can't just blanket everyone. That's when the part of the problem with racism is that it blankets everyone. Oh, if you have a different skin color, then this is how we think of you. Well, you don't want to turn around and go, oh, well, because you have a different skin color. If you're white, we think of you in this way, or if you're a cop, we think of you in this way. If you're a pastor, we think of you in this way. We have to have a more mature, healthy, and biblical understanding of human nature and people than that.
So, Joe, what do you think about the protests and the riots?
My son was asking me that. Eli, so I have 2 kids. I have 4 kids. I have 2 sons, 2 daughters.
But the boys only count, which is why I said 2.
That's right, yeah. The girls, what are they going to do? They get married or something? No, anyways. So, my oldest son, Elias, he is 15. And he said, why are people burning their city down? Why are there, I mean, because he totally understands what happened. George Floyd was murdered. Make no mistake about it. George Floyd was murdered. He was killed by a wicked man. And I hope that guy pays the full penalty for his crimes. And I hope all those cops that were there that didn't intervene pay the full price. So Eli understands that. Eli gets it. He's like, yeah, I totally get that. And I know why protest, but why are they burning, like if it's their own city, if their own neighborhood, why are they burning it down? Why are they protesting? And so here's what I said to my son. First I used a cliche, which I still think is okay. Hurt people, right? So people that are hurt, people that are wounded, oftentimes hurt other people.
Yep.
If I've had a really bad day, who's gonna feel the blowback of that?
Me.
No, it's my family, not you.
Me.
Who cares about you?
The person you love the most.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, right. Like if you're hurt, if you're wounded, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, sometimes other people get the blowback of that. And that's not fair. It's not appropriate. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. So there is now here's my take. I could be wrong.
Oh, here we go. Hot take.
There's a small percentage of people involved in the riots who are so hurt and frustrated by the injustice of a man like George Floyd being killed by a cop on camera that they're lashing out. I think that's a small percentage. I don't know what that percentage would be, 10%?
So what's the other 90?
I think the other 90 are opportunists who just like to see things burn, who have, oh, here's an opportunity to take and to smash and to steal. I could be wrong on that. But here's the reality. If you're walking down the street and everybody is free to run into Target and grab whatever they want and run out, a lot of us would be tempted to run in and grab something. I would be tempted. I'll tell you right now, I can get a free TV right now.
Joe's on his way to Minneapolis today.
I might go. I'd be tempted. I'm not saying I would. I'd be tempted to go in there. I'll get some free stuff. So a lot of it is opportunism. A lot of it is just bad people wanting to do bad things. Some of it, I think, is you have to try to understand why might somebody be so upset that they would do something irrational. Well, when you're really upset, that's what you do. You do something irrational, right? You lash out, you yell something, you say something, you do something that's not appropriate, that's wrong, but it's coming from a place that is understandable. So I want to try to understand why some people might be doing this and why other people might be doing it as well for completely wrong reasons. So the rioting, I think, is a tragedy, right? Because you're burning down people's businesses. You're making
like your own neighbors, like the people that like your community, right? And here's where I think not only is the rioting a tragedy, right? But the media as well, where they fixate so much on the rioting, and they are not talking about, there's like groups of individuals, and I don't know how many. So that's why I'm just saying groups of individuals that are from those communities that are cleaning up.
Right. Peacefully protesting.
Peacefully, not just peacefully protesting. I'm talking about
but
cleaning,
actively
actively cleaning up the mess.
Right. Exactly.
And of course, the media doesn't talk about that.
No, because it's not sexy. It's not salacious. When this cop, Derek Chauvin, when he killed George Floyd, immediately after, a small group of people went to his house to protest. They peacefully stood outside his home, protesting with signs. And the chief...
And they have every right to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing. My flesh wants to burn that house down and drag the guy out. That's not the right thing, but that's how I feel. I understand. Listen, I totally understand it. I don't like injustice. I have a really hard time with people in authority taking people of advantage. People in authority taking advantage of others for whom they are supposed to be responsible. I have a really hard time with that. But they were protesting peacefully. And I think it was the chief of police who was there standing with them, saying they're not doing anything wrong. They're absolutely right. What happened here was wrong. And so they are out here. And that's totally appropriate. I don't think trashing and burning down parts of your city in protest is helpful. I don't think that actually moves the needle in a good way.
Yeah.
But I try to understand why some people might be inclined to do it, while others, I think, are doing it because they're just creeps. They just want to take advantage. And I don't have much compassion for those people who are just looking to exploit the situation. I don't think that's an appropriate thing. We've been talking about George Floyd, and what I guess when I think about the situation, this guy was arrested for something real small. It's a small thing. I can tell you right now, I've done worse things. I've done much worse things in my life. This guy was put into cuffs because he gave a bad 20, a fake 20, allegedly, to a store. They called the store. They found the guy still hanging out outside. And maybe, I don't know, but from what I've seen, it looks like he might have been a little stiff in like complying with commands, but he certainly didn't assault anybody. And this cop kneels on his neck until he's dead. This should break all of our hearts. We should mourn with those who mourn. We should be angry, righteously angry, but in our anger, we should not sin. We should speak up. We should say what needs to be said. And we need to be careful not, this is how I look at it. I'm not looking to take sides. I'm not on Floyd's side. I'm definitely not on the cop's side. I am on God. I want to be on God's side. I want to be on the side of righteousness, which means I'm going to condemn what happened here. This was stupid and wrong and evil.
So I want to jump in here and share, because I've been trying to think through, and I know maybe a number of our listeners have been trying to think through, how do I respond in this, right?
Yeah.
Like how can I help out? And actually, there's a church pastor in Detroit.
Tyler's my man.
Tyler's my man. Tyler
Listen
St.
to this.
Clair. Yep.
This is good stuff. I liked it. I liked it on my Instagram, so I'm good. That's what makes me good. I liked it.
First of all, that right there was you virtue signaling.
That was the widest thing I could have said.
That really could have been.
Hey, everybody. My black friend, Tyler in Detroit, I liked his Instagram post, so I'm one of the good ones.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe. Anyways.
No, this is great. 2 posts, right?
Yeah. Well, 2 photos here.
Yeah.
But here's what he said. He goes, I've had many white pastors seek counsel this week in light of George Floyd's death. Here's how you can help. And he gives 3 things.
Do it.
Listen, lament, and lend.
Okay.
So listen, he references James 1:19. Assume your ignorance, bias, and lack of cultural understanding and humbly listen to people of color.
Let me stop there.
Stop there.
Say it again.
All right. Assume your ignorance or bias and lack of cultural understanding and humbly listen to people of color.
If you have a problem with that, I don't know what to say to you. Because we all have bias. We all have filters. We all have lenses.
We've all had different upbringings, different experiences.
As a white boy in suburban Chicago, I have a particular experience that, and my choices, all that impacts the way I view law enforcement, cops, and all this stuff. So that's a really good word from Pastor Tyler.
Yeah.
Listen. Don't just assume. Admit that we all have biases and that we're all ignorant. of other people's experience. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
No. Secondly, lament. References Romans 12:15. He says, voluntarily enter in the mourning of people of color and show Christ's compassion, instead being the quote unquote fact police, arguing the situation's validity or trying to fix it.
Here's my understanding. I always admit I could be wrong, but Black America, we'll say, has a more collective conscience and experience than white America, because they have had a more consistent universal experience than white America. So when one of their people suffers, they feel it as a community more than most white Americans would, because we're also fractured. Now, that's how I view it. That doesn't make me a Marxist. Chill out, homeboy. It just makes me sensitive to the situation. Right. So, read it again for people, because I don't want people to miss it.
Yep. 1 second. Here we go. It is lament. Voluntarily enter in the mourning of people of color and show Christ's compassion, instead being the quote unquote fact police.
We don't have all the facts.
Arguing the situation's validity or trying to fix it.
Can you mourn with people who are upset? I mean, the Bible calls you to do that, right?
Yeah.
Mourn with those who mourn. You can, as a good neighbor, love and see. Like, nobody can look at this video, and I honestly haven't seen any. I'm sure there are wackadoos out there, but
I haven't seen a lot of those.
No, you can't look at this video and
God
go like, oh yeah. This spindly, cowardly cop with his hands in his pockets, with his neck on this guy's neck, with his knee on this guy's neck. We don't have all the facts. I have not seen that in this case, but it is important to mourn. We should mourn. We should weep. Like Jimmy, you said, like, it makes you want to cry. It does. It makes me want to cry. But my defense is to get angry and to want to pop off. So, yes, Pastor Tyler, you're 100% right. We totally agree with you on that.
And then third, lend your voice. Isaiah 1:17. As a member of the majority, leverage your influence to empower minorities and speak loud and clearly when injustice happens.
9th commandment, fools.
Yep.
Do not bear false witness against your neighbor, which not only means don't lie, it means stand up for those who are being lied against. And look, I don't care. We could talk about Ahmaud Arbery. We could talk about all these guys. In Ahmaud's case or in George's case, it really doesn't matter what they've done. It has no bearing on the outcome, right? So let's say Ahmaud was stealing. We don't have any evidence that he was. Let's say he stole something. Does that mean he should have been shot by the two dudes in a pickup
truck? And that's why like this whole thing in Minneapolis is like $20.
Yeah, $20. Okay,
$20.
Put him in your car, dude. Put him in your car and close the door. Why you got your knee on his neck? What the heck is going on? This is stupid. This is unrighteous. And so, and I'm frustrated that Christians that I know they're responding to this in more political ways than moral ways. They're responding to this in more political ways than in more Christian ways.
Well, it's the Trump era.
Yeah, I guess
it's a Trump era. It's what we're in. It's the polarized political conversation that we now have.
And that's not just a Trump issue. That's an everybody issue.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying it's that era, right? It's the era. It's that polarization era.
Go hardcore.
And listen, some could say, and actually I would argue, it started back when Obama was elected, not because of Obama, but because of the right.
Yeah.
Right? Becoming so polarized with the Tea Party, everything. Listen, I got whole thoughts on these things.
Yeah.
But I think that to me, that is seeped into our church. Our churches have now...
And by our church, you don't mean Redeemer, you just mean the church in general.
I'm talking about the church in general. It's seeped in there, and that is how we interact with each other. Instead of assuming the best of each other and being charitable with each other, we assume we have to make sure we protect ourselves in such a way, because one wrong word is going to be used against me on Twitter, and I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've been canceled.
Yeah. Cancel culture.
You're on the out. And so now the left and the right are like... they're totally whack, right? Democrats and Republicans are oftentimes just like the worst representatives. But then we have good people that we actually like and resonate with at times. But here's where I'm encouraged, and this is the truth. I'm speaking as honestly as I can. At our particular church, we had people vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
We had people vote for Donald Trump.
Yep.
And we have people vote for the third party candidates. And all of them are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
They're working it out. And we all talk and we're not saying like, oh, well, you're obviously a non-Christian, or obviously you hate whatever because you voted that way. We're seeking to understand. And I think that's rare, especially for a Southern Baptist church. I think that's pretty uncommon.
Yeah.
At least it feels that way to me in my experience. It feels rather uncommon. Now, again, I don't think the fact that, we're all voting in different ways is implicitly a good thing. What I think is a good thing is that everybody that I've talked to, they're trying to work out their faith in practical, tangible ways where they can seek the good of their neighbors. Now, here's the thing. When we look at situations like this, we should be able, ready, and willing to talk about it. There's nothing to be afraid of. No. Okay, so I'll tell you right now. My experience with cops was largely negative for the first half of my life and largely positive for the second half of my life. And here's what I recognize, that there are a number of factors that contribute to both, right? And I'm willing to recognize that my perspective of things in this world is sort of an amalgamation of a number of other contributing factors. And I should be willing to check the way I look at things to see maybe I'm looking at things in a little bit unrealistic way. Maybe my perspective isn't the best perspective. Maybe it's ignorant. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why there is so much pushback from some people that I really love against this idea that, hey, you know what? Maybe you are ignorant.
Maybe you don't know.
Maybe your experience has been radically different from others. And here's what I know, bro, and we've talked about it. In general, I've been pulled over for some multiple violations, and I get the, keep it cool, bro. No problem. And Jimmy does not get that reaction. No. Travell does not get that reaction.
No. And it's not only about that, right? Like even, okay, so that's the negative side that I sense, right? Now, here's the other side is, my mom's Hispanic from Guatemala.
Yep.
I've got a lot of family that are Hispanic. But I was raised in a white home.
Right.
I look Hispanic. Actually, people don't even know what I am.
You look Hawaiian.
It doesn't matter where I go. I go to Canada, they think I'm First Nations. I go to Europe, they think I'm from the Middle East.
But you're always a minority.
But I'm always the minority, right?
You never you're one of us.
Well, no, they're all like, the minorities are like, you're one of us.
Yeah.
Right?
They all want to claim you.
Yeah. But I was raised with like white thinking.
Right.
And so it's really awkward when I'm with family or even at work and individuals are like trying to talk to me and not even the language barrier, but more about experiences. Right. And it's like, I never had that.
So what do you mean by that? What has been your experience growing up?
So a white suburban experience, right?
It was pretty chill, pretty
chill.
easy.
Yeah. I was like a minority in St. Charles. But I'm sorry, a minority in St. Charles is doing pretty well, right? Like, and I'm just trying to say that, right? But
it's like, hey, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Look at you in St. Charles.
In St. Charles.
This is exciting. It's a brown man here.
Thank you. Would you like me to carry your golf bag, sir? Like, it's one of those, like, you're doing pretty well here, right? Yeah. And again, but I wasn't a true minority. That's the difference. I've never been a true minority.
Where you feel the weight of it.
Correct. I've never felt the weight of it to the extent that others have. And so I talked to my mom's side of the family and they're talking about their experiences like, man, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, I don't. Because I was raised in a white house, right?
Yeah. In a white city. Where, I mean, again,
sorry, what I'm trying to get at is this. Yeah. There was a time where I thought I would like to plant a church, right? And I had to wrestle through those feelings of like, I would essentially think I'm that white savior, right? I wouldn't say that because people would look at me as Hispanic, but I was that guy that didn't actually have the experiences of that culture, of that neighborhood. And until I actually embraced that, I'm not sure I'd be able to impact that. And I think in the same way, we understand that on a level when it comes to church planting, but when it comes to social justice, let's use that word. If it comes to listening to minorities and people of color, that's when we push back. We listen to the guy from Ghana and understand it. Look, he understands the culture. We don't get it, but look, we're sending them to do it, and let's hear from them.
We're going to learn from them.
We're going to learn from them. But back here at home.
Right. Tyler in Detroit.
Yeah. And actually make sure you follow him at Tyler P. Saint.
Yeah.
Fantastic church planter.
Godly man.
Godly man. we don't listen.
No. What?
No.
Oh,
how dare you? How
hello,
dare
Obama.
you?
Yeah.
You think we can't understand? It's a really weird. It just seems so hypocritical to me.
Yeah. No, that's a really good word, Jimmy. Look, our heart. All drama and goofing aside, we're grieved and we're angry when innocent people are hurt and killed, whether it's some white boy going into a church shooting it up, or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, right? We're grieved where there is injustice. It pains us, it frustrates us, it angers us. And George Floyd's death, it's the hardest thing I've seen in a long, long time. I've seen a lot of things. That's a pretty hard thing to watch.
Yeah.
But what we want for our people here at Redeemer, what we want for our friends, what we want for the Church of Jesus Christ is to be a people who have the heart of God that also hate injustice. We want our people to stand up for what's right, to be willing to take hits for those who are oppressed or hurt. We want our people to be stand up for truth. So that means that we have to have hard conversations, and we're not always going to agree, but we have to be able to talk about it without demonizing each other. And honestly, in situations like this, I would encourage our listeners to have Jimmy's heart, which is one of empathy, right? Because I get angry and I just want to hurt people. But Jimmy has this empathy. You have this empathy for people. Like, you actually care. Like, hey, I hate this. This hurts me. I don't want people to hurt. I want to help. What can I do? The riots, I get why some people might be doing that. Ultimately, I think it's a dumb thing. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. It only hurts. But can we try to understand why some of this is happening and what can we do to make a difference? The church is supposed to be a place where the righteousness of God is made manifest. We should have kingdom ethics where there isn't favoritism or prejudice or racism. Yeah. We should be so radically different from the world that they can't help but look at us and go, what the heck is going on? Rich and poor, black and white, like every conceivable difference between them, and they're one, they're unified. That's only because, as we talked about before, like earlier this week, that we have fellowship with Christ. We've been engrafted into him. Because of that, we are all the same. And even if that isn't the case, we're all made in God's image. We are all the creatures of God, and worthy of love and respect and care and protection. So that's our heart. Here's where we're thinking. Here's what we're thinking. Here's where we're at on all of this. We know that we've had a number of people ask, what are our thoughts? Well, here they are. If you don't like them, we don't care.
And Joe's apology tour starts tomorrow.
I don't have an apology tour. I'll be like a big don't care. And if you do like it, don't care, because this is just where we're at, right? Yeah. Like we're trying, we work really hard to be honest.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun.
Yep.
We goof around a lot.
Yep.
But we try to be 100% transparent what we think.
100.
Where we're at. And it's why, to be honest, I mean, if I was going to be objective, Doctrine and Devotion is the best Reformed Baptist institution that's out there. I'm just going to go ahead and say, you could look at there are others. They're all right.
They all right?
They're all right.
All right, okay.
They might have more money. They obviously have more money.
They have more money.
They have more money. But you know what they don't have?
Us.
They don't have the Jofo.
Yep. They don't have us.
They don't have that.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us online on Instagram and Twitter @DocandDevo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, drdevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast, or hit up the store, jofostore.com, and grab some gear. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday. Blog post on Wednesdays. Later.